What's going on, everybody? It is not the game plan, but it is Matty Kiwoom. I am here for the start or stream show here on Sunday morning as we get prepped for week 6. Answering all of your start sit questions, answering anything that you need answered as we head on to a very pivotal week 6 matchup. I know I got a few leagues here where the wins need to start coming or the playoff chances will quickly dwindle away. I will just get into one of the tougher decisions that I am facing, and hopefully people that are checking out the starter stream broadcast can find a little bit of maybe information, help them with their decisions too. How is the number 2 running back going to go for Miami? Will it be Salvin Ahmed? Is it going to be Chris Brooks? Now, the fans in Miami are calling for Christopher Brooks, and I get why. I mean, he kind of looks like a younger version of Jeff Wilson. He's got a great burst score, over 78th percentile burst score. He's strong. He's got the size, 6'1", 235, and he showed that he can be pretty effective on minimal touches in the blowout victory against Denver. He was 9 for 66. So got you 6.6 fantasy points, a complete garbage time effort. Now, in my opinion, this is completely bro science here. I don't really have the numbers to back up. It's just kind of what my gut is telling me. The matchup against the Carolina Panthers projects to be an absolute dog walking for the Dolphins. They're 14.5-point favorites against the winless Panthers. And what I would have to believe that if this game gets to be a blowout status, I'm not saying the 70-20, but bludgeoning that happened a few weeks ago against the Broncos, but I can see a scenario where they get out ahead big early and they want to waste out the time. They're not going to use Mostert. They're not going to risk him getting hurt. They don't have Jeff Wilson. He's not playing. So why wouldn't they give the rookie the opportunity over a vet like Ahmed? They have Sullivan on the roster. They know what he is. They know what he can do. They know what he brings to the table. Whereas Chris Brooks, his opportunity to get some shine in the NFL is here, it's now, and it's not going to be around for long. So my gut just tells me that Chris Brooks is the play here this week if you're looking at the number 2 running back for the Dolphins. Still waiting for people to get in here to start leaving their questions in the chat. You've probably tuned in. We bring you the start sit advice all day here at Player Profile. It starts over at TikTok and then migrates over to Instagram, and then we put the bow on it. We put the final touches here on Instagram. So we are live on Instagram. So the questions are starting to roll in. Let's just jump right on into it. Liam 40 is in the chat. Shout out to you. Would you start Stafford over Herbert? I have Cup. He has Puka, so I think points all over. Also, would you wait for Saquon or fire up Foreman? Monte is his other running back. I am going with Barkley. And Adam Schefter report, the last is the Giants are optimistic and hopeful that Barkley will play. And Foreman, believe it or not, doesn't have a great matchup. The Vikings have been pretty bad for opposing running backs. They haven't been really fruitful in terms of fantasy. So I'm going to fire up Saquon, and I'm going with Herbert. I'm not going to get cute. Don't get cute. Go Herbert over Stafford. I think that is the right play this week. Tim Sauce, what up? Sauce, we got Stafford or Stroud. Give me Stafford this week. I love that matchup against Arizona. The matchup is so good that Liam has the decision of going Stafford or Herbert. So that's how good the matchup is. Go with Stafford over Stroud. Burrow or Tua. Give me. See, I was just talking about how I wonder if it's going to be a massive blowout for the Dolphins, but they got to get there. Give me Burrow over. I mean, give me Tua over Burrow. Can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, Tim, go with Tua over Burrow. G Hop, JSN or Gainwell. Woo, we're not talking about the top of the barrel here, but that's okay. G Hop, if you haven't had a chance, go check out not yesterday's episode of the game plan at Theo Greminger on. We talked all about some bargain bin players. Maybe some of those are available, but if this is the choice that you want to make, it's PPR. I'm going to go JSN. I got to go JSN G Hop because at the end of the day, a 30-yard touchdown reception is absolutely in play for an offense that throws the ball as much as Geno Smith and the Seahawks do. So with that just being on the table, I'm going to go with it because what's Gainwell's upside? What's Gainwell's upside? Like, I don't really see them necessarily leaning on Gainwell any more than they have over the past few weeks. It's been the DeAndre Swift show over there, and they got the Jets. The Jets do have a tough D, and they are going to be exploitable now on the outsides because they got no Sauce Gardner, no DJ Reed, two very, very highly ranked cornerbacks not going to be playing today. So I don't think that Gainwell is going to be the guy that they use a ton where they can really attack on the outside, get those wide receivers going, and then, of course, keep pounding it with Swift. So go with JSN. We're here live, YouTube, over at the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button, like this video, and get in here. Get these comments coming because we got about 25 more minutes to hang out and get those start-sit questions answered. And I want to be here to help you out. Tim Sauces, thanks for sticking around. I will answer all of your questions as long as you stick around. He needs one of Dameon Pierce, Imari DiMercado, and Joshua Palmer. All right, let me go ahead and consult on our ranks here because that is a bit close for my liking, and then I'll give you a little bit of background why. Our rankings have Dameon Pierce highest in our flex rankings this week, in top 40, actually just outside at 41. And I'm going to agree with that. I am going to agree with that because Dameon Pierce his role is at least defined. He hasn't had those massive games, but the role has been defined. He is getting a ton of those touches. We do not know how the Cardinals backfield will play out. Will it be a lot of DeMercado, some Keontae Ingram, who was ranked higher than him in the depth chart? There's a lot of questions to be answered. And Josh Palmer, I've had some Josh Palmer questions asked me. If you can go elsewhere with Josh Palmer, I will. And here's why. Teams coming out of their bye, typically that is their launching point to get some rookies involved. And I wonder if Quentin Johnston gets a little bit more target share this week because we saw Josh Palmer do well before their bye, but a lot of it came on that 50-yard touchdown, literally on the last play of the game that mattered for the Chargers. So I'm gonna stay away from Josh Palmer. Give me Dameon Pierce. Thank you for the question. Cole and standard scoring: Nico Collins, Jordan Addison, Christian Kirk, Olave, Nakua. He's got to choose 4 of those guys. So let's just start with the obvious. You're going to play Nakua. He's impossible to bench right now. We have him as a top 10 play. You got to play Christian Kirk. We also have him as a top 10 play. You got to play Jordan Addison. We got him in our top 12 this week. So now that leaves the question. Is it Nico or is it Chris Olave? And I am going to go with Chris Olave. The matchup for Nico against New Orleans could be his toughest yet. Marshawn Lattimore is my number 1 ranked cornerback this week, and he's been playing really, really solid on the outside. And the fact that the Saints do have a good defense and they can slow the game down. They've kind of, even though they just beat the living crap out of the Patriots, but the Patriots just stink. So it's not nothing exciting there. But yeah, what I'm saying here: leave Collins out, go with Nakua, go with Olave, go with Kirk, go with Addison. Oh my God! Now you're sitting here. You might have thought you had a decision to make. Well, get excited because you have 3 or 4 top 20 wide receivers according to PlayerProfiler.com's ranks this week. So fire them up, Cole, and get ready to see some fantasy points, my friend. Next question from Jorge Herrera. Hopefully, I didn't put too much flavor on that. Who should I sit between Sungard, Nakua, DJ Moore, and Brandon Ayuk? He's starting Keenan Allen. Jorge, my friend, this is a humble brag if I've ever seen. So good on you. This is a team built from the heavens. Oh, my God. Who do you sit here? I mean, you have all of these are all top 20 options for us. Yeah, Player Profiler. Jesus Louise. This is a This is a tough one here because they're all studs. But I'm going to go crazy here. I'm going to go a little crazy. I'm going to sit the Sun God. I'm going to sit the Sun God this week. He's just. I just wonder if he's 100%. I wonder if he comes out of the game early. I wonder if there's a chance that he's just not relied upon super heavily because they do not want to get him re-injured. I know that's crazy, but look at the names that we're talking about here. We're all talking about top plays. And on our rankings at playerprofile.com this week, we got Amon Ra at 31, where we got the rest of the guys ranked higher. So I'm going to trust our ranks, some of the best in the absolute biz. So let's go with leaving Sun God out. But if you just can't stomach it, hit me up on X at Matty Kiwoom. We'll talk about it because I understand that's a tough move to make. Ties in the chat. Mac Daddy or Ritter? I'm going to go with Desmond Ritter here this week. He was my bargain bin quarterback for this week 6. He's the guy that I am going to turn to in my most desperate of situations. And between him and Mac Daddy, that's certainly desperate. But let's talk about why. So the matchup isn't necessarily fantastic. It's basically a pick 'em game with the Falcons at home. The over-under of 42.5 is not anything that we want to necessarily get excited about. But Ritter, despite not throwing the ball a lot, has done two things particularly well so far in 2023. That's throwing the deep ball. He has the third highest deep ball completion percentage. And he's top 10 in red zone carries and also 6th in red zone quarterback rushing touchdowns. So that's allowed him to have 2 top 10 finishes. And Washington has given up a top one. They've given up a QB1 performance to their opponents the last 4 weeks. They're truly just a matchup on their own. Not particularly good at stopping opposing quarterbacks. And I don't expect them to necessarily stop Desmond Ritter to a high end. So between those two, plus Mac Jones, no Juju Smith-Schuster, no Demario Douglas, who's becoming a more exciting player that they have in this roster. They're either going to run the ball, they're just going to be terrible. And they've scored 3 points. I have a stat for everyone in the chat here that's going to mind-boggle here. I'm a Boston guy from Massachusetts, so I love my Red Sox, love my Patriots. The Red Sox have scored more points or more runs for baseball than the Patriots have in the month of October. The final game of the season, the Red Sox put up 6. The Patriots have only put up 3 in their 2 games in October. They've been putrid. So I'm staying away from that offense as much as I potentially can. Cole says, thanks, Matty. Okay, best of luck. Yes, best of luck to you too. Let's get these let's get it going. Let's get these wins. Tim Sauce. Oh, he's from Worcester, Mass. All right, it's about an hour and a half from New Bedford. So about an hour and a half going on at 495 over to you. But if I ever head over to a Woo Sox game, Tim Sauce, we're going to have to grab a little brouhaha. But he's got another question. Stroud or Geno Smith? All right, let's go back to our rankings here because this is another close one. That's why we have these rankings. That's why we turn to some of the best in the business to help us make the hardest of decisions. I'm going to actually lean slightly with CJ Stroud. He has been prolific enough. Again, I talked about how tough the matchup's going to be, and it is going to be a tough matchup. But when you look at Geno, he's got Cincinnati. Cincinnati, believe it or not, has put together a really good defensive secondary, and they've been pretty good at getting after the quarterback. I don't think it's going to be a particularly easy day for any of the Seahawks other than maybe Ken Walker. So I'm going to go with Stroud here, and shout out Worcester, man. I almost went to Assumption. So that's just a little behind the scenes thing that Tim and I will be the only people to get. I almost went to Assumption in college, so I would have been a big time Worcester guy if I had done that. Rob's in the chat. Shout out to Rob. Smash that like button. Why not? Listen to the man. He's very smart. He's very, very smart. So you want to listen to him. Bobby Dazzler's in the chat. Shout out to you, Big Bob. Good morning. Full point PPR. Dante Freeman or Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin has not been particularly exciting. He has not come through for his fantasy managers like we would have wanted, given where we had to select him. We don't have him even inside our top 40 this week. And I'm going to go with Deontay Foreman. I don't love the matchup for Foreman. I'm not as bullish on Foreman this week as a lot of people are, but I do still see him getting, so many touches that he could just fall in the end zone a couple times. He has produced in, these type of spots in the past throughout his stints and all over the place. Whether it be Houston or Carolina, it seems like when he's gotten a chance, he's been able to produce. And with all the touches here and the lack of production from Terry McLaurin, give me Deontay Foreman, but it's super, super close here. It's close. Yeah, so get it over here. We got about 15 more minutes. Get your questions in on the chat. Let me go over on Twitter and see if we got anything on the old Bird, or the app formerly known as the Bird app, and just see what kind of questions I may be able to draw up, because we got nothing in the chat right now. Chat is pretty quiet. Oh, here we go. Nope. Tim Sauce. We're just gonna talk about Worcester. We're gonna talk about Wachusett Mountain. We're gonna talk about all this stuff. If we don't got no questions, then we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about Worcester, Mass. So get those questions in right now. Get those start sit questions in. Like I said, about 15 minutes, and then we'll get out of here. Best of luck to everyone in their Week 6 matchups. It's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a good one for the ages. I don't know if I say that's kind of lofty. I'm just kind of pulling here. But yeah, we'll go a few more minutes if nothing else comes up in the chat. Outlook on Elijah Moore rest of season. I think what we're getting out of Elijah Moore is kind of just what to expect. He'll get the volume. He's just not getting real big looks. And with this crazy shoulder injury now that is going to continue to linger on for Amari Cooper. For Deshaun Watson. If you have a chance, if it's redraft and one of these high end free agents are available on your waiver wire, I'm okay dropping them, to be honest. But in Dynasty, you want to hold and maybe try to sell. I just think that he'll have weeks that's worth getting excited about. And there'll be times that if you move on, you go, dang, I probably shouldn't have. But I think overall you'll be happy with something more consistent, because I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of consistency out of Elijah Moore, especially with that injury to Deshaun Watson. Tyler Walker, Logan Thomas, or Noah Fant this week? Give me Logan Thomas. I like Logan Thomas this week against Atlanta. Atlanta's the second most favorable matchup for fantasy to opposing tight ends. So give me Logan Thomas at that tight end position. Michael Rasmussen is in the chat. Shout out you, Michael. Half-point PPR. Hall or Foreman. I feel like Philly is going to crush the Jets. I do, but Breece Hall, you got to play him, Michael. You got to play Breece Hall this week and every week. He just, if they're going to make him the guy, he's going to run away with being the guy. Tough defenses aside, doesn't matter. We still have him as a top 12 play. We got Deontay Foreman at 30. Foreman may be a good guy to play in a pinch, but Michael, you're not in a pinch, my man. You got a top 12 guy. You got Breece Hall, an absolute stud. And hey, if Philly crushes him, maybe this is the game he gets 6 or 7 catches, and he is so good, so flashy that you just want touches. He gets touches in the open space. He's out of there. He could put one in the biscuit. So go Breece Hall here. All right, we'll go live for a few more minutes. If the more questions come in, I'll stay on through to 11:30. I'm here for y'all. I'm here for everyone in the chat. So anything you got, bring it to me. We'll talk about it, because I got nothing going on right now. There's nothing popping off. We got another. Oh, here we go. This is why I like Bobby Dazzler. Please tell me there are brighter days ahead for Javonte Williams. He can't trade him, and he feels like he can't drop him. I do agree with that sentiment, being stuck with Javonte. I don't think there's going to be better days ahead. I don't think there will be better games. He'll score 15 points in a game, maybe 20 points in a given game, but we're not looking at a 16, 17 point a game guy from here on out. I think McLaughlin has cemented himself with a role on this as a running back on this team. And Samaje Perine, he did fumble in limited action, but I guess he's been dealing with a little bit of nagging injuries. But if he can get healthy, he's going to be there. And I just don't see Javonte getting the lion's share, becoming a bell cow that he's going to need in an offense that we don't particularly love. There is the factor of the trade deadline. This is a team that we may see some movement. So there may be some variables that change quite drastically here in the next few weeks. But even so, it's just like Judy could be out, then Mims is in. I still think the game scripts will go pretty similarly to how they have gone. So Bobby, shout out, man. A little therapy. Sometimes you just gotta talk it through. But yeah, if you can move them, I know you said you can't, but there are times when real yucky trades can help you throughout in the fantasy chaos. For me, I'll talk about one that I may be facing is Miles Sanders. I still believe in him. They don't have an out from his contract till after next year, so I still believe he'll be the guy once healthy. And now they have a bye week next week. But the trade that was on the table for me this week involved the defense, one of the best in the league, and then a secondary piece. That sometimes feels yucky, but it could be the reason why you can get a win in a week 6 matchup that you absolutely need. Jonathan is in the chat. Higgins or Downs today? Ooh, this is where rubber meets the road because Josh Downs was my bargain bin play of the week at wide receiver. I really like what I've seen from Downs, and I will give you this. Downs with Gardner Minshew saw 5 targets in week 2, 12 targets in week 3. Minshew threw the ball 12 times in week 3. And last week, he caught all 3 of his targets from Gardner Minshew. Where Jacksonville does play well is on the edges. They play a lot of zone defense, but their outside cornerbacks are really good. Their inside corner, Trey Herndon, is not so good. So I do believe the middle of the field will be exploitable for a guy like Downs. I'm talking myself into it. Go Downs over Higgins. It may be a crazy set to here, but we still don't love Higgins this week. We got him at wide receiver 38. And that rib injury, I mean, all it takes is one shot to the ribs and maybe he's out. So I'm going to go Downs here. A little bit of a surprise. Tim, shout out to the super chat, man. Thanks for the advice. Anytime. Make sure you're following on X. I'm always there to answer questions. I love talking fantasy in the Discord. I'm always there looking to talk a little fantasy. Morning. Oh, good morning to you, Go Jin. Good morning. Ayuk or Chuba? You got to go Ayuk. OG Theo Greminger spoke the praises of Brandon Ayuk on the last episode of the game plan. There's some big weeks ahead. The metrics, he's popping in some metrics that are just fantastic. And that offense is humming. So you got to go with Brandon Ayuk there. Tyler Boyd or Tutu Atwell, already starting Cup. Give me Boyd. I think it's a lot of the same play. Last week we saw Atwell find the end zone and only led to 8 fantasy points. I think the floor is a whole lot lower for Atwell. The ceiling might be higher. So I'll throw the answer, or I'll throw this answer back to you, Adam. And then you can make the final decision. If you're looking at a team, and you'll know this better than me, you're looking at a team that you need to score a lot of fantasy points. You need to go berserk, play Atwell. If you're playing a team that you match up well against and you need that floor play, you just need to get the race to 8, we'll call it, go with Tyler Boyd. Opinion on Sean Tucker rest of season. If you roster him in deeper leagues, hold on this week. This is the Tampa Bay week out of the bye. If it doesn't happen this week, he's just an injuries guy. He's in the muck of the backup running backs that need injuries to maybe 2 players to truly be relevant. So this is the week. If he does nothing, be ready to move on. Exactly. The injury to Higgins is what makes me most nervous because it's the ribs, and they tackle. I don't know if you guys know this. They tackle a lot in the NFL, so getting tackled on the ribs might absolutely hurt a lot. Rachaad White or Chuba Hubbard? I do like the Chuba Hubbard play this week. He's a great fill-in now that Miles Sanders is not in the picture. But I'm still going to go with Rachaad White in this game. Of course, Detroit hasn't been great for running backs, but he's just getting a lot of touches. And the matchup for Chuba Hubbard isn't astoundingly better. I mean, Miami's still been just slightly they're about league average when it comes to stopping opposing running backs in fantasy. So they're not necessarily a great matchup. What you're hoping for, I guess, is garbage time. But Blackshear might get more touches in absolute garbage time than I'm not saying play Blackshear. I'm just saying that if you look up at the box score and you're like, oh, an absolute dog walking by the Dolphins, they win 45-10, 45-17, and Blackshear ends up with 6 catches in absolute garbage time. It's just on the table too much. Where Rachaad White, we know what we're getting, and at this point, we're only 6 weeks in. If you drafted Rachaad White this early, if you've been rostering Rachaad White, you're going to want to play him coming out of the bye. Chuba or Curtis Samuel, full point PPR. Now, Curtis Samuel is a sneaky play. He was Theo's bargain bin player this week because the matchup is really good, and he's been awesome. He has been awesome over the past few weeks. He's been a low-key, consistent fantasy performer over the last few weeks. And they got Atlanta. Atlanta, again, they're weakest in the middle as opposed to the outsides. Jeff Okudah and A.J. Terrell have been great on the outside, so it might open up a lot for Curtis Samuel in the middle and really exploit D. Alford. But the problem I have overall is I just like the volume of a Chuba Hubbard, and he has caught in some passes. And Miles Sanders has been running a ton of routes this year. So if Chuba Hubbard's going to take that role, Chuba Hubbard's my play. So Adam, I am going to go Chuba over Curtis Samuel, but I ain't going Chuba over Rachaad White. Rachaad White or Michael Wilson, PPR needs that upside. Go with Rachaad White. Michael Wilson, he's good. I just acquired him in one of my dynasty leagues. I want him on my teams, but I just don't know if he's there yet. We saw the 2-point performance last week, and I just again Rachaad White, although he hasn't been the dominator that we were really hoping to see, he's still been the number one running back on an offense that's been better than what we have expected. So I'm going to keep going with White, but my patience is getting thin with White for sure. But for this week, I'm still pretty confident in Rachaad White. Derek Carr or Josh Dobbs? Man, this is a question that if you had asked me a few weeks ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? But no, it's a fair question here. I'm gonna go Dobbs, but it's super close. We got him at 13 and 15, but I'm gonna rely on the ranks. So I'm gonna go with Dobbs in a matchup that it looks like it could be a pretty good shootout indoors. So we like that. Gogo Jin has Justin Herbert. Should I bother dropping Stroud to pick up Quentin for the dart throw? Yeah, in one QB. Obviously, this isn't a dynasty question because they wouldn't be available. You would be dropping Stroud. So I'm assuming this is redraft. If it's redraft, yeah, I'm okay with that. Herbert's out the bye, and you're gonna play Herbert every week. It's Justin Herbert. You're gonna play him. And again, this is the week. Again, the hoopla. It's Halloween time, so the woo of the week is gonna be these rookies coming out of the bye. Does Quentin Johnson get more touches? Does a guy like Sean Tucker, which I don't know, but does he get factor more into this offense? Do these rookies coming out of the bye, Zach Charbonnet is another one that comes to mind. Do these rookies coming out of the bye have a more defined role or a more lucrative role coming out? So if you want to do that, I'm okay with it. I don't like Quentin Johnson. I've been on record not a fan of Quentin Johnson, but I do understand the dart throw. And you, in this redraft format, you got your quarterback, and you're going to be doing it all day, every day. Henry looks great again this week. Derrick Henry was my absolute screaming buy on the game plan yesterday. We were talking about win now buys. Got teams with championship aspirations. Who are your favorite buys? Derrick Henry was my one of those at running back because they're using like he's young, and the panic that fantasy managers will have because of Tajay Spears getting looks is actually it's beneficial to Derrick Henry. We don't want him getting hurt in week 12. We want him healthy when he gets the Texans twice in the fantasy playoffs. So we all got to, respect Tajay Spears, love what he's doing for our Derrick Henry shares, but hold on. And if you're winning, go get him. How do you think Keaton Mitchell fits into the Ravens running back situation? Let me get back to that because I need to go look up what he's doing right now before I can give my thorough answer. Michael's back. Thoughts on Michael Wilson's outlook rest of the season? Do I still hold? Yeah. If you have the roster space to hold, I'm holding because, again, I think that I love what I'm seeing in terms of his skill set. I just don't know if we can rely on him on a week-to-week basis. Yeah, go ahead and hold on. How does Keaton Mitchell fit in? Was he even active in this game? He hasn't gotten any touches at all. And I think that regardless of how that plays out, that's your answer. He's an undrafted rookie free agent who's been hurt. There shouldn't be too much hype on Keaton Mitchell. Justice Hill, he's fast too, and he's getting the love right now over Gus Edwards. If anything, I'd be looking for them to maybe pick up a free agent on the scrap heap, make a low-key trade if they feel like they need one. Keaton Mitchell, if you can sell him. I just don't see any of the appeal. Josh Palmer or Chuba or Ford this week. I'm not going to go Palmer here. It is PPR, but I do like the workload for both of those players at running back. I just want to make sure that I have a better grasp of which guy I'm going to play. I'm going to go with Chuba. I'm going to go Chuba here. Love Jerome Ford, though. Love Jerome Ford going forward. This matchup is just so tough. Are we dropping Richardson given the news in redraft? Yeah, you can drop him. You could drop. Unless you can stash him on your IR. That's obviously the best. You could do that. But in your redraft leagues, it's okay to send him off and hope to draft him again next year because you can't wait around. You can't stash him for too long in redraft when you need to get those wins. So of course in Dynasty you're obviously not, but that's not even a question, Jake. So you drop them in redraft if you need it. And that's gonna wrap up the Start or Stream show. Follow me on the Bird app or the app formerly known as the Bird app, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Matty Kiwoom. Player profiler, everything you need. And if you just can't get enough of me, I'm over at patreon.com/theexecutives with Cody Carpentier. Good luck in your week 6 matchups, and I'll be rooting for you. So have a great Saturday. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you, allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.